Hi, this is Tracy, and on the path to understanding, I'd like to wish everybody a happy new year. Being that it is the new year, I'm trying to clean up some of the work left over from 2015. And one of the things I wanted to do was record a video about karma. Most people, when they talk about karma, it appears that they're only speaking about bad responses from their thoughts, word, actions, or influences, rather than the overall concept of karma. Karma is not just a negative response, it's also a positive response to those same thoughts, words, and actions and influences based upon uh, those things. And it's really important to understand that in order to really grasp karma, you also have to be willing to accept multiple lives, reincarnation. The reason is that the concept of reincarnation isn't just about what we do right now. It's about what we do over the expanse of our being throughout eternity. And this being the case, uh, is the reason why we can see really horrid people do really bad things, and they have charmed lives, and we're kicked back and we're wondering, well, how come this person is a multimillionaire with everything going for them, and this poor little kid over here is suffering immensely through no fault of his or her own. And that is one of the most difficult things to accept, that these infants who are abused or come into the world with horrid health conditions and so on and so forth are in fact responsible for that. And I'm not talking about responsibility in a way of blaming them for what's happening to them, but in the sense of the consequences of actions taken in previous lifetimes. And not just actions, thoughts, words, actions, and the things that we influence all are sources of karma, because karma is basically the reaction of an action that we've taken. They're the energy that results from energy that we've dispersed, if you will. And this is very, very difficult to really fathom, because it is over multiple lifetimes. We don't remember what we did before, and we don't know when or how that karma is going to be exacted in our lives. And it's all about cause and effect, primarily. Whatever cause you make has an effect. And this is, scientific fact. For every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and so on and so forth. And all of this is part and parcel of how karma works. We may think we're getting away with something, but in fact, the instant that we think or say or do anything or influence anything, in effect, the response is immediately created. The only difference between what we do now and when we reap the benefits of it is time. And as we know, time is relative, and it's all going to happen in its own time when all of the energy comes together to format the necessary response. In other words, it's kind of like, okay, I want, I say I want to eat something. If I have no food to eat, I can't eat until I amass what's necessary, either the ingredients or the product itself, to eat. And it's the same way with karma. Until all the conditions in the universe become such that that karma can manifest, then it won't happen. But when it does, we shouldn't be surprised, because it is, in fact, a result of a past thought, word, action, or influence on our individual parts. And to take it a step further, karma is not just our own personal stuff, it's also what we involve ourselves in, what we're influenced by, uh, so on and so forth. We have the karma of the race we're born into, the culture we're born into, the country we're born into, are the ones that we choose to move to. The people we marry, we're basically volunteering to take on the karma of them and their family. So karma is a really complex thing. And one of the things I've learned over the years is that we can do the best of our ability to prevent uh, a lot of responses that we don't want to deal with in the future. In other words, the causes we make right now will determine the outcome of our future. And if we don't mindfully make those choices to take those actions, think those thoughts, say those words, influence those conditions, then we're going to, of course, get the effects of all that we do regardless. And it's really important to understand that karma is not a bad thing. It's a necessary thing. It's necessary as a response that's guaranteed. This being the case, it also gives us a lot of power, because if we want a specific kind of future, we can create that now, even if it's in this lifetime or multiple lifetimes away. And, I know most of us are into instant gratification, and we want to see um, everything right now. Okay, I go to work, I want my paycheck now. I bake a cake, I want to be able to eat it now. Whatever the situation is, we feel that we have to have it now. And this is all part of the human condition, which we can discipline ourselves to have more patience and be more logical in our desires. However, it does not totally alleviate the need for human beings to have a desire that things happen right away. Now, I had a friend of mine ask me about karma, and he was saying that he didn't pay the fare on the train that he commutes on unless he really had to, and because the train company was, there were a bunch of crooks, and they were taking advantage of people, overcharging them and fares and so on and so forth. And so this was his way of rebelling against that, the status quo of the transportation company. And and he says, well, is that retribution toward them? I can do that. I said, well, you have to remember, and this is what he's the reason why I'm supposed to be making this video, or am making this video, is because we are only responsible for what we do. We can't determine what somebody else is going to do, but we can determine what we're going to do. So everything that we do, if we're a cheat, even though the company that we're cheating, or the person that we're cheating, is a bad person, we still have to have the retribution, or the response from the universe regarding our action. Okay? See, a lot of people think that it's okay, and I'm not saying he does, but a lot of people think that it's okay to retaliate against someone. And sometimes, that is exactly what needs to be done, because you're the instrument in place to give that person their retribution. Okay, I don't want to be that person if I can avoid it, but of course we can't always avoid it. If somebody's beating up on you and you just lay there and let them beat you to death, then we don't know what kind of karma that's going to bring on us in our next lifetime. We may come back as one of the most violent people in the world because we were brutally murdered in our previous lifetime. But the thing of it is that we have the right to defend our lives. Okay, thoughts, words, they're nothing in comparison to our actions, or the influence of actions of others. Because as long as we're not being physically harmed, then there's no reason to attack someone else. Okay? We can just kick back in the cut and say, oh, my, yeah, okay, right, whatever. Because we know within ourselves that they're going to have to deal with the retribution of their actions. Yeah, I had an experience one time where I was really mean to somebody, verbally mean, and which I do a lot. Okay, but that's another story. But anyway, and I was, really on this person because their behavior was such that it warranted it from the superficial viewpoint. They warranted me chewing their tails out. Okay, their actions warranted me chewing them out, and so I was cool with it because they deserved it. They earned that. They were the ones that did this horrible thing that put me in a position of chastising them. And of course, that was great. But then, shortly thereafter, within a couple of days, I really got my feelings hurt because somebody did it to me. But they didn't do it in response to something that I had done. Actually, they did it in response to something that they thought I had done, which I hadn't. And I was really upset about it. And then I got to thinking about karma, as I usually do. And I realized that, okay, yeah, well, maybe that person didn't need me to chew, the person that I chewed out. Maybe I was wrong too. Maybe I hadn't really seen into the depths of what was going on, and that I should have stayed out of that. Because if I had, then I wouldn't be receiving this particular retribution, even though I'm not guilty of anything. I haven't done anything to warrant it. So maybe this person was the same situation. The person that I had, really ran through the mill with, my verbal chastisement. And I thought about it. I said, well, maybe, they kept saying they weren't doing it. Maybe they weren't lying. Maybe I just thought they were lying because they always lied, and then that was my expectation that at this present time they were lying too. And therefore, I really jumped on them about it. And the situation that with someone falsely accusing me and attacking me verbally made me realize that, oh, well, maybe that was a situation here that I was involved in with this other person. And so I had to really look at myself and think, well, okay, was it my responsibility to tell that person they were a liar when I have no way of knowing every single instant of their day, their life, their thought, their words, their actions, their influences, etc., etc. But I took it upon myself to chastise them in a way that I thought was appropriate for the circumstances. Now, this really made me, once again, because I go through this all of the time, because I like myself the way I am, and I have a tendency to fall back into the same patterns. And so I really got to thinking about, well, okay, that means, you know, I changed that person's karma. I took some of their negative karma away from them when I attacked them. But then this other person comes to me and attacks me verbally, and so he's taking away some of my negative karma. Okay, so the books are getting balanced all over the place, but then one has to ask oneself the question, who appointed me bookkeeper of the universe? Uh, why am I always the one trying to chastise everyone else about their actions? Is that my job? And have I been appointed by the universe to take this action? And one can only say, well, yeah, because you did it. Otherwise, if you hadn't done it, it wasn't supposed to be that way. I mean, karma is such a complex thing because we basically make the causes prior to whatever situation we're in right now. And, if we have a happy, healthy, wonderful life, then we've already made the causes for that to happen. Okay, and the same way, if we're living a horrid life, if we're doing horrid things, then we already made the causes at previous times for that to take place now. And all of those people and influences that have made us, or constructed us to be that way, are in effect fulfilling our karma. Okay, uh, we did something at another time to create what's going on now. And those other people, they did something to be part and parcel of the whole picture as well. So karma's not a really simple thing. And the only thing we can do is take care of our space right now to the best of our ability, making choices that determine what we want in our future. And to do that, we have to be well aware of what life is really all about and how it works and how it functions. And, this is a very, very difficult situation, a difficult thing to do. And my suggestion is that we just do the best we can in the moment, not worrying about what's happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future, but just dealing with right now to the best of our ability. Thanks.